here with Susan Meiselas, who is a Magnum photographer, and in fact, I think you're running the entire Magnum agency now, aren't you?
No, the Magnum Foundation.
Foundation.
Not the agency.
Okay, so tell me about the Magnum Foundation then, first of all. Kind of what is that, and how does that fill up your time?
Fill up. Well, it's a juggle. It's a juggle.
A juggle.
How do we support the documentary community going forward with quality work and small stipends and scholarships and mentoring? And it's outside of Magnum, but it's based on a tradition of Magnum. So it's quite different than the community itself of Magnum, which is its own.
Sure.
This is the extended community, let's say, who we hope, believe in the same values.
And of course, I mean, your background is, I use the phrase photojournalism, but then when I say it to some people, then they do that. Yes, they do the face that you just gave me then, which is like it's not. So you define yourself then.
It's not it's just because it's a broader field. I think documentary work is a different kind of engagement with and relationship with communities, with subjects, etc., and it's over extended times, sometimes returns, not produced in an illustrative way for journalism. So I think it's a somewhat different idea, and I think that very often the work you create gets used in various media and various platforms. But I think about generating work that moves from the work in the field to book form, to exhibition form, installations in public space. So I'm interested in that full range, not just the newspaper or the magazine, which might be its first platform of visibility.
Sure. Okay. So now I know you're talking later on the super stage, Susan. The super stage. I know it sounds scary, but it'll be
versus
brilliant.
The
I'm
live.
Sure. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are you going to be talking to people about?
Well, I thought it would be probably most interesting about just where do you begin? How do you create a life? You never know where it's going to lead you. I certainly, when I began, I'm going to show the early work, which was literally in the boarding house where I lived, and then I'll move to places such as the work I did with Carnival strippers, which was an identification very early on in the 70s with women working as sex workers, to Nicaragua, which is who knew that there would be a revolution, and I spent a long period of time there. So
tell me a little bit. Okay, let's go back in time then, shall we?
Yeah.
Back to the 70s. So you mentioned Carnival strippers. I mean, some amazing photographs. I was looking at them just this morning, and you're right in there. I mean, that's the only way I can put it. You're right in there. Sometimes you're in amongst the crowd. Sometimes you're almost feel as if you're in amongst the strippers themselves with the crowd behind. I mean, so I guess you were literally just diving in where you needed to.
I think of it as immersive photography. You immerse. You from every perspective possible. So from the outside to the inside to the afterlife. So yeah, it was a 3-summer project. It was over an extended period of time. Changing relationships all the time, because of course there weren't a stable group of women who weekend to weekend were performing, but building relationships with the managers and seeing the dynamic between the women and the clients, the women and their lovers, etc.
Well, I mean, that's an interesting thing, isn't it? I mean, how do you establish that kind of relationship where people trust you to that degree to be able to photograph them in quite, I guess not difficult situations, but it's like, you've really got to get in there and understand them and have some kind of relationship with these people.
Yeah, hopefully the passion is sincere. I mean, I think people can trust you if they really believe that you're interested, if you're really curious, if you want to contribute in some way to understanding them. I think the breakthrough or the important part of strippers is not just the pictures, but and I'm going to play a little of the sound of what they shared about their lives. So they're informing, and the book form is a reflection of that. You see the text as well as the sound of their depiction of themselves, alongside photographs.
And maybe just for the British audience here, because I'm not sure if the tradition of Carnival strippers has ever been in the UK that I'm aware of. Can you just explain? I mean, does it still exist? Is it still happening out there?
Well, they were known as girl shows. They traveled along with state fairs. I think the 4-H clubs are probably in the UK too, along with the big vegetables and the oxen pulls in the back of the lot of a fair grounds with the rides and the games and the cotton candy, were these girl shows. Right. Now, I don't know if they have them in Britain. They really
I've not been to them. I'm just saying that live. I've
Everyone
not been to them if they have.
if they were caught by the camera, and, nonetheless. But no, I think they, in fact, they're not really active anymore. This was in the early 70s. The women's movement called them exploitative institutions.
Right.
I actually think the women who worked within them saw them as livelihood, as sex workers do today. I mean, it's a vibrant business. The women always don't get the biggest share of it, needless to say. But so the girl show per se doesn't still travel in the fairgrounds of New England as I saw them in the 70s.
Sure. Okay. Now you mentioned also Nicaragua, and you photographed in some very difficult situations, I think. I mean, is there any time in your mind that you can think back, thinking, well, actually, it's not a good idea to be here right at this moment with my camera?
Well, let's face it, no one's right now in the midst of ISIS, So
Sure.
there are worlds that have dimensions that are not penetrable to us right now. But I think at that period of time in Central America was quite different than Vietnam. You could cross the line, enter different realities, so you could be, I think it was an kind of unfolding set of circumstances. So what I was really doing is just following the current of time. Again, it's a different kind of immersion, but it is an engagement. It is about staying over a long period of time versus in and out. So again, many magazines sent many photographers and they hit and ran. I think staying and seeing this was history, not news, was the kind of contribution I made at that point.
Yeah, sure, okay. So I know you're looking forward to your talk later. As I remind everybody, it's on the super stage for those that are coming on with tickets.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, you do quite a lot of these talks at shows around the world, or is this something new?
Never in a trade show. I mean, tend to be invited to universities or museums or other kinds of settings. I don't know if the way I work is going to be of interest to a broad public of this nature.
It will be, I promise you, it will be.
Let's hope. But it is a different kind of practice, in a way.
Brilliant.
So let's hope.
Oh no, I'm sure.
Okay.
I have no doubt about that. Susan, look, thank you very much for chatting to us today at the Photography Show Live TV. It's been brilliant. I'm going to try and sneak in and listen to a bit of your talk later.
Super.
So great stuff.